Welcome to Triple T Thursday. That stands for Tips, Tricks, and Tutorials. I'm your host, Shelly Nathan, also known as Shelly Saves today. I have a very special guest here today. I'm so excited to introduce you to her. I met Lauren Bateman. Well, first of all, hello. Welcome to Lauren Bateman. Welcome to the stream. And we're going to let you do your own intro here, but for everyone else out there, Lauren Bateman does have her own YouTube channel teaching guitar instruction in an easy way. But I think her backstory is even better. We met at a conference, of course, as some creators do when we were in Florida. We were in Florida. So, Lauren, why don't you say hello to everyone and let them know who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Lauren Bateman. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I teach guitar on YouTube, but I wasn't always a guitar teacher. I worked in cancer research for many years. My degrees are actually in biology and archaeology. I don't have a degree in music. I don't have a degree in teaching. I was just always really, really passionate about music and decided that one day, I was just going to quit my job and figure out a way to pursue music. And one of those avenues for me to make money was to start teaching people about music. And I really hadn't taken many lessons myself. I took a lot of voice lessons, hadn't taken many guitar lessons because when I was younger, I took piano and I absolutely hated it. And my parents didn't want to pay for the guitar lessons because they figured I was just going to waste it like the piano lessons. So I proved them wrong. And I just really loved guitar. It was just the instrument that really spoke to me. And it turns out I guess I must have been good at teaching. There's really lots of great guitar players out there, but not everyone is a good teacher. And my students seemed to like my method. And I started teaching out of, a spare bedroom in my apartment. And then I opened up a commercial brick and mortar. And then before the pandemic, I had 3 music schools. I was trying to figure out a way to get back into teaching, because when you're growing a business, you stop working in the business. So I wasn't really teaching anymore. And I said, I need to find a way to teach people, because one of my business coaches was like, you have a great story and you're really good at what you do. You need to share this with more people, like outside of your local community. So I was like, well, what am I going to do that allows me to teach people, but doesn't require me to be in a specific spot? Like, it doesn't require me to be at a music school location, Mondays, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I said, I'm going to try this YouTube thing. I'm going to start uploading some videos on YouTube. And in March 2017, I think I uploaded my first kind of official guitar lesson video and been going at it since. I have my first video really take off in 2019. And it's been a roller coaster ride ever since. And, I think I'm over like 210,000 subscribers now. So it's been a fun journey.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh, we're going to break that down even more. Okay,
Yeah.
So for anyone who is out there in the audience, first of all, can we get some thumbs up in the chat for Lauren, because that blew my mind. But for everyone out there, we're going to ask a very important question, a very nosy question, and it's what's in your cup? So Lauren, as my guest, why don't you go ahead and go first? What's in your cup today?
So I am drinking Waterloo. So this is a sparkling water, a seltzer brand that I discovered a few years ago. I just really love the flavors. This one is peach. The passion fruit and grape ones are my favorites, but it's a very good seltzer if you're looking for a good seltzer. Waterloo.
Waterloo. I've never heard of that one, although it does remind me of ABBA. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not mad about that. So I'm gonna be like, all right.
It's a company out of Texas. So there you go.
That's awesome. I was just in Texas like 2 weeks ago, And oh my goodness, is it hot down there? But
Oh,
today
I bet.
we've got Tazo, Awake, English breakfast tea. But today there's a twist. There's no honey in it. So, I mean, it's just like, it's the real deal today. It's the real. Usually I like dump like half a container of honey in there. So, we've got, come get this commentary. Hey, Kiva says, I have some Stella Rosa blueberry wine.
Very
Have you
nice.
had blueberry wine? I don't think I've ever
I
had blueberry wine.
literally just had some the other night. It was
Are
like
you
a
serious?
chilled blueberry wine. It was a red wine, and my wife's like, "Do you taste the blueberries?" And I was like, I had never had a blueberry wine
I've
before,
never had a
so
blueberry wine. I know
perfume of
there's
the
a
week.
country song that has like strawberry wine in it, and
Yeah.
Tennessee whiskey. But Dutch Can Jam says coconut water for him today. So thank you everyone for sharing what you're drinking today. Now I have to say, deciding to leave a big cushy job that you have in job security and then going off to be like a musician. Did you just have that moment where you're like, oh, we're doing this? Or was there like a moment of like, oh crap, what did I do after you left? And you're like, nope, we're making this decision. I would think, knowing you, that you would be very like, let's plot it out and be very practical about it. But I don't know. Did you just fly by the seat of your pants? And you're like, we're
Yeah,
changing, we're doing this.
I'm definitely not a plan it out kind of person. I'm
Okay.
more of the fly by the seat of your pants thing. I mean, there was a little planning. So essentially, everyone, they asked me like, what was the defining moment that made you decide like this was going to
Yes.
change?
What was the
So
moment?
you know, I was working in cancer research. I was a histologist, which meant I like cut slides for pathologists to read and see if the cancer treatments were working or not. And I went away on this cruise. It was called Kayamo, and it had a lot of my favorite artists on there. Brandy Carlisle was on there before she got like super big. Indigo Girls are on there. Lyle Lovett, John Prine, a lot of kind of singer songwriter type musicians. And I brought my guitar with me, and I just had so much fun. Like they had open mics and little jams and stuff in some of the little bars that were there. And I came home and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with music. I just need to do more of that because I was so happy. As much as, cancer research was very rewarding. I had cancer when I was younger. When I was 16, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, there was the rewarding aspect of that. But there was just something with music that was calling me. And my what not my wife, my aunt at the time had pancreatic cancer, and she passed away at the age of 51. So I was 26 at the time, and I was just sitting there going, okay, I may have lived half of my life already. And being someone who was a cancer survivor, I was just
Wow.
like, I don't want to sit here behind a desk for the rest of my life. That's not where I see myself. I see myself doing bigger things. And I went on, Google and Googled how to phase out your job to do music, and just started going down that path. And I started teaching, like I said, out of a spare bedroom in my home in April. And I gave my 3 months notice in August because my boss, I think she kind of knew that I was going to go off and do the rock star thing. So one day she's like, listen, when you go off to be a rock star, could you just give me 3 months notice? Because it was very hard. The job I was doing was very specific. So it was hard to find like a replacement. So I went in and I was like, okay, I'm giving you, or it was May. I went in May and I said, I'm giving you my 3 months notice because August was my last month.
Wow.
And that
3 months
was it.
notice. That's quite generous of you. Good on
Well,
you.
that's what she asked for. She said,
I
could
know.
you give me 3 months notice? And that's just the kind of person I am. So I said, hey, I'm here to give you my 3 months notice.
That sounds like a
Um,
planner to me, Lauren.
yeah,
3 months
there's
from
a
now,
little bit
I'm
like
flying by the seat of my pants. Like,
there's a method to the madness. Well, you know what it was, because I started teaching and I realized as long as I had a job and an income and that security, that I would never get the fire under my butt to get things together. So
yeah.
like I said, I started teaching like March, April of 2010, I think it was,
Wow.
and gave my notice in May. So it's like I'd only been teaching for like a month. I maybe had like 4 or 5 students. So it's like I really had to make things work, or I was going to be like flying by the seat of my pants.
Well, where did you
So
get your very first like students from? Where did they come from?
I had made a lot of money and back in the day building informational websites and making money off of Google Ads. So I'm not a stranger to online businesses. Some of you may be old enough to remember the Google Panda algorithm that came out that kind of crushed a lot of those online businesses. So that's eventually what happened to me. And so I just knew a lot about online stuff. So I built a website. I started, putting posts on Craigslist. I would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday and go out and flyer cars in my neighborhood, and just kind of did a lot of things like that to get people. I had some friends who, took lessons from me for a few months just to get things started. And I worked a lot of odd and end jobs. I mean, I worked, like, my dad is a general contractor. So anytime he needed a laborer on a job, I would go in and, he'd give me like $100 cash for the day to come and like do labor work with him. And that's what I did. I just picked up a lot of odd and end, like, temp jobs until I could make enough money teaching, you know, with the students that I had.
Wow. Okay, so you've already lived like 17 lives. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a little bit, no, it does remind me a little bit of myself because, like, in my past, I've done like, well, I was a real estate agent, and then I was in retail management, and then I went off
Yep.
and I was, some big tech companies, and then I became a
Yep.
YouTuber. And it's just like, and people are like, just one, just not just pick one, but like, that's like 17 lives. And I'm like, I knew.
But I think entrepreneurs have to fail at least 3 or 4 times before they figure out, like, what actually works.
Yeah, and
If you ask
sometimes you
any
learn more.
entrepreneur, like, this isn't my first business. Like, I've built multiple businesses, and most of them have come and gone. So
Oh, no, it's so good. I see, like, I'm reflecting some of my own in you. Okay, so there's one thing that we have to acknowledge first, real quick, is that we have a brand new channel member. So come get this commentary. Welcome to the Shelly Squad. I'm gonna play you your welcome screen. I have heard that this one does blow out some eardrums, so you may want to cover your ears. This 15-second one, though, is for you. I'm giving you a countdown so everyone can prepare. Where is it? New channel member. Here we go in 3, 2, cover your ears. Shut it up now. Come and get this commentary. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I did try and work with the volume, so hopefully it wasn't as loud as usual. Everyone else out there, sorry to your eardrums. That is tradition. What we do, if someone joins, we have to give them their own little flowers and shout out for a second. Sorry about that. But okay, so let me ask you, you decided to package up what you know and create an online course about guitar instruction. Now,
yeah.
one of the things I'm super passionate about and always trying to tell people on this channel, and in fact, it was one of the talks that I did at VidFest, is thinking of revenue pie and lots of slices. And maybe one way is to create a course or package up content and knowledge that you have. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you decided to get into kind of the course thing and how that's going for you?
Yeah. So, I went into YouTube knowing that it would become a business. So, I had done many businesses, and I guess that's the benefit. I actually, believe it or not, I started doing YouTube in 2010.
Wow.
I had a channel. It was called Guitar with
Oh no, you're
Lad,
frozen. Oh,
business
she's back.
mentor. Am I back in?
Okay, you're back.
Oh, thank you. I'm a rock star. Thank you. Okay, there we go. I don't know how I have a direct line in, so hopefully it's not on my end. But I was working with a very, very bad business mentor in 2010 who was very, like, scarcity mindset.
Mm.
So part of being part of that business community was that I couldn't go online and do online business related to guitar because it would compete with, like, his business or something. So anyway, I shut the channel down in 2010 and shut my website down and was just kind of doing the home teaching thing. And I decided, I knew when I started YouTube the second time in 2017 that I needed something to monetize, because I had learned from the informational websites that came and failed. That was all Google Ads revenue. And I knew with Google Ads revenue, like, you're getting 25 cents a click, 10 cents a click, and it can add up. I definitely make a lot of money on YouTube ad revenue, but it pales in comparison to what I make in course revenue. So I knew that having my own product would be a great way for me to make money. And what I did was I just started with a really small beginner's course. I was like, let me kind of put in a course the things that I would teach someone to get started with guitar, maybe in like the first like 3 to 6 months of their journey. And so I packaged it into a course and I started selling that. And as my channel grew and I started selling more courses, like I added to that package, which is kind of the system that I have today, the 7 level guitar system. And then that's what I ran with for a very long time. And then obviously when COVID happened, I had a lot more time on my hands. I went all in on the online space and I started making additional mini courses, but I was asking my clients, what do you guys want next? So I just didn't go and create something that I thought I wanted. I specifically asked them, like, what do you guys want next? I could do a course on finger picking. I could do a course on songwriting. And whichever one got, like, I did a poll and whichever one got the most votes, that was the one, that was the course I did next. So, I started adding courses and developing course bundles and stuff. But I knew from the beginning I needed something that I could sell to people, even if it was like something that was $47. I'm like, if people like me, they'll buy something from me for like $50.
I think that's really, really smart because I have cautioned against for people who want to start a course. It's the natural inclination to want to build the entire thing, but you don't even know yet if people are looking for that to be taught or if you do it and then it's incomplete in some way or, if people even want it. So it's sometimes better to do for the first time around, maybe a landing page, gauge interest, build it as you go, like add in the lessons as people are, asking for them or kind of like fill in those spots. And it sounds like you kind of did that where you're like, here's the basic thing and let's add some of these, additional things as people are requesting it, which sounds
Yeah.
super duper smart because you could just spin your wheels creating a course for 6 months and then putting it out and people being like, this is not what I want. This is not solving any problem for me. I love that. So how many courses do you have now?
Shoosh.
Oh,
Well, there's the beginner course, and then there's like 5 mini courses, and then I just did a blues course. So that's like 7. And then there's some other workshops. And so there's probably like 8 courses and like maybe 2 or 3 workshops out there right now.
and they all vary in price, 47
Yep.
up, or where are they kind of priced at?
Yeah. So some of those mini courses, some of them I sell for 47. The beginner course is 197. We do have like a platinum level membership that's 597 where they can get everything, and it's cheaper than if you bought everything a la carte. But yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you first started with one-on-one and doing instructions coming out of your house, right? And I've definitely talked a lot about how that can be the easiest way to get started because it's really easy to get started with something like that. Were you ever concerned being a woman on the internet and having people come over to your house? Was that ever on your mind for safety?
No, I mean, it's something you think about. I mean, I have one recently, like kind of like one creepy thing happened where someone got my cell phone number and they called and left like 4 or 5 like very long messages. You can tell like he wasn't all there by the messages, so that was a little concerning. I went on YouTube and like found his comments on YouTube, which kind of echoed what was being left in these voicemails on my phone, and I just kind of blocked him from the channel. I blocked that number from my phone. And, that was probably like the craziest thing that happened. But, those are the trade offs in life. Like everything has trade offs. So, I feel, I've taken lots of martial arts and stuff over the years. So I'm very good at my own personal self defense. So I would feel bad for anyone if they came through my door. Um, but, is it something that crosses your mind every once in a while? Yes. Is it my focus? No,
Sure.
because I'm helping so many people that it really makes it worth your while to keep doing it.
Yeah, now online personal safety we've talked about before, but it actually came to the surface of my brain the other day because a friend of mine who's kind of big in the NFT space, fellow creator in Seattle, they had
Mm.
someone show up at their house with a knife and then was upset that, they weren't let in. And it was quite, I think, probably traumatic for, I think he has a fiance that is if they were home by themselves or something like that and someone crazy shows up, it's like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness. There's just a lot to do with online safety that I feel like people have to sometimes keep in mind and just keep in mind.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, now getting started in packaging up a course and deciding and talking to everyone, like, what is it they wanted? Did you find any commonalities or anything about the people taking your courses? Like, they always wanted a certain type of instruction, or they always wanted certain types of lessons that you were able to really hone the process as you kept adding more courses?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of knew based just on my own personal experience from teaching the different ways that people could spider out after they get past that beginner level. So I kind of guided them to the things that I could do. So for example, if someone wanted me to do like an 80s metal rock course, that's not really my wheelhouse. I'd probably have to get an outside guitar teacher to do that. But I would be like, listen, these are the things I'm good at. I can do finger picking, I can do songwriting. Do you guys want more intermediate strumming? What do you want? And I even have people, I just did a blues course recently that ended up being this huge course. I thought it was going to be a mini course and ended up being a full blown course. And I didn't know much about the blues. I was probably very basic in the blues. So I actually learned a lot by creating the course, which was really cool. So I told them that they inspired me to like the genre more. But if I were to do something beyond that basic level of the blues, kind of like beginner to kind of like intermediate, if they wanted something really advanced, that's where I'd probably have to collaborate with another teacher and bring someone on to be like, okay, this person is an expert in this style of playing, and we're going to bring them on to teach you kind of that advanced level if that's what you want.
I think that's really smart too, to know like not only what your limitations are, but to like how to craft that best experience for your students so they
Yeah.
walk away with, what they wanted, what they paid for, and what they're expecting. So I
Yep.
think that that's really awesome that you did it that way. Now, tell me about being on YouTube and, growing this channel. You had one before, you had to scrap it, starting all over again on YouTube, and now getting to 200,000. What's that journey been like for you?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's awesome when you think about it in retrospect, in the first year, the first couple years are like your hardest years on YouTube
Yes.
because and it's funny. I always tell people because like you think you're working hard and you're not, because I went back and did like a 5-year timeline of, what my journey was. And I went back to that first year and I thought I had worked so hard, because so many people are like, "Oh, I get life gets in the way. I have a family, I'm working a job." And mine was no different. I mean, I was still managing business, I do real estate. So there's a lot of things going on in my life. And when I looked back at that first year, I had uploaded 19 videos. So that was like a video and a half.
Yep.
And I thought I had done so much work. And it is because in the beginning, when you're a creator, you're wearing all the hats. So you're filming the video, you're editing the video, you're uploading everything. So you're doing everything. So it is a lot of work and it feels like a lot of work. But when I look back in retrospect, I was like, I thought I did a lot more than 19 videos and I hadn't. And then the second year was about the same. I maybe did 20, 21 videos. And I was like, wow, I thought I was doing more than I was. And, I was like that typical YouTuber where I was getting frustrated because it wasn't moving as fast as I thought it was going to move. But I can see why it didn't. Because I mean, the amount of effort I was putting into it was showing. I think I only got like 500 subscribers my first year, and for 19 videos, I guess that's pretty good.
That's not
When
that
you
bad,
think about
right?
it,
I
that's
mean,
not
yeah.
bad for 19 videos. And
Yeah.
the next year maybe I got like 1,000 or 1,500, and then it kind of snowballed from there. But my first video, I had mentioned it earlier, took off in the end of 2019, and I was kind of getting to, it was almost the point where I almost quit. I think every YouTuber has that
Mm.
point where they're like, I think I'm just gonna
Oh
see
my
how this
gosh, all the
goes.
time.
And I didn't upload a video for quite a while. It might have been like 3 or 4 months. It was one of my sabbaticals on YouTube. And I think life just got busy. I was planning for my wedding. I was getting married in October. And so I didn't do anything all summer. October came. I went on my honeymoon. And when I came back from my honeymoon, that's when something changed because I started getting emails like, you sold a course. And like I would sell a course, maybe one or two a week, But every day I was getting an email being like, you sold a course. Or sometimes I would sell 2 courses in one day. And I was like, that's really weird. Like, I've
That's
never
weird.
done that before. Like, I was like, something's happened here. So I went over to my website, and I checked my analytics on my website, and I had this huge spike in traffic. And I was like, holy crap, like, where did this come from? So I'm like looking in the analytics, being like, did website backlink to me, and I was getting all this traffic, and I was like, there was nothing that was showing like where this traffic was coming from. So I went over to YouTube and I was like, let me go over to my YouTube channel, check that out. And one of these videos like took off. It went from like 0 to 60. Now I did this video in June of 2017, and it's now November of 2019. So it sat there for like 2.5 years doing just like petering along. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I don't know, YouTube just started showing this video out of nowhere. And it went from like 20 views a day to like 4,000 views a day. I was like, holy crap. So that's when I was just like, okay, I got to really take this seriously, because it just showed me like, obviously the more attention you get, the more sales you can make when you had a product. And at that point, I was really glad that I had a product that people would buy. And because that was one of my earlier videos, I didn't have a good call to action in it to be like, go check out my course. Or I don't even think I had a link in the description to go find me. Or I might have had a link to my website, but it definitely did not have a link to the course. And it just goes to show you that video made such an impression on people that they went and searched for the course. Like, they were like, these people had to go find the course on my website. It wasn't very clear at that point where to go. I went back and edited the video to make sure it had a good link for where to get the
Not
course.
again.
But it was just crazy. It's just, how quickly it can happen. And I know some people, they're grinding on YouTube and they're like, it's just not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden, one of those videos just takes off. I had a client of mine who because I do like YouTube consulting with some people, and he's just started. He's done like 19 videos. His name is Charlie, and
Is he done for the year? Is he done for the year?
What's that?
I said, is he now done for the year? That's all it takes, right?
He released a video, and it has like, in 12 days, it's gotten 30,000 views. He got 1,000 subscribers from this video. It's his 19th video. And he, he took my course, and we've done some consulting stuff. And he's like, I can't believe this is happening. I was like, I've never seen it happen that quickly. I was like, but I'm really excited it's happened to you. And I was like, now that it's happened, you have to capitalize
Keep going and
on this. I was like, you got to start collecting, because he doesn't have a course yet. And I was like, you got to at least start collecting emails. If you don't have something to sell, at least collect the emails, so that when you do have something to sell, you've got the email list to sell too.
Yes, because the conversion is so much higher off an email list. Oh my gosh, so many things that you're saying. I don't know if it's because maybe you're not a 12-year-old, but it seems like you've come towards YouTube with a very mature mindset of, email list, and we're going to sell things, and we're going to, try and really make this a business and be a little bit more serious about it, except for the 19 videos. Except for that. It's really been like very kind of like pointed and specific towards like one common goal, like making money and like, teaching and educating, which, by the way, I am the daughter of a school teacher. It takes a special person to be a teacher, but you are like elevated to saint status if you're going to do it with a musical instrument, because like probably listening to someone do hot cross buns or something on a guitar, like, and not like running out the door screaming.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, how can you not?
Parents have told me over the years that I have the patience of a saint. So.
It would have to be. I mean, like, music is one thing. I mean, teaching is one thing, but teaching music, oh my Lord, good on you. I could never do it. I could never do it. But I do want to give you just a second here, because I want to have you recognize Adam's Exploits is giving you some thumbs up here for you. Mr. Camera Junkie, so Luis, giving you some thumbs ups here. Dutch Can Jam is giving you some hearts and guitars, because you're a rock star.
Love it.
Come Get This Commentary has got all kinds of thumbs up and a purple heart for you. Purple's my favorite color. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Discord for creators, if you're interested in creating a Discord. This is the girl to help you do it. Boop, boop, boop. I'm putting her over here. You can't see the little music notes because they're dark, and I'm wearing black. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Keely. I'm sorry, Keely. But yeah, everyone in the audience has special love for you. So
awesome.
I love that. So what's kind of like the future for you? What's it look like? I mean, more courses, more like, are you just going to keep doing YouTube? Like, what's next?
Yeah, so, I'm gonna stick with the YouTube train. My team and I just did our first live event here in Boston.
Was that the
Not
August 5th through
not this
7th?
past
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
I
couple
saw
weekends
something about
ago.
live and I was like, what is this? What's going on? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yep, so I had a live event, and I had 30 of my students come out, and they hung out in Boston with me, and we did some workshops and teaching, and we played guitar together all weekend. And it was a lot of fun. It was the first time I'd ever organized something like that. And so they were all like, I was thinking this was going to be like a one-off thing because it's a lot of work to put on an event. And they were all like, "So when are we doing this again?" And my wife was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it again next year. Lauren doesn't know yet, but we're doing it again next year." So now I'm in
Awesome.
the process of booking my event for next year for the next fall. So that's what I think we're gonna get into more, doing some more event stuff. I'll probably do a few more courses, but I'm gonna start working on like collaborating with teachers to get into more genre specific stuff. But again, if I'm gonna have someone teach, 80s rock, I want to get the teacher that's like really good at 80s rock. Or if I want someone like jazz is not my thing, and if I have students that want to learn jazz improv, well, then I'm not the teacher to do it.
Yeah.
Just not my wheelhouse. So that's
No,
that's where I
that's
think we're
wonderful.
going next is collaborating more, and kind of expanding the brand. Like I am the brand, but also kind of expanding it beyond me and working with other teachers.
That's such a cool plan. I love that. I mean, have you ever felt, because a lot of people will get very in their heads about niches, and it's very, for you, it's guitar instruction, which is kind of already niche, but then you teach everything from, oh, and we're going to talk about this, my love and admiration for Melissa Etheridge and yours as well. But I mean, you
We
teach
did
some of
Melissa
these.
Etheridge at the live event. We had a VIP group
Yeah,
where
you
they
would.
got to be in a band, and we did Melissa Etheridge live. That was one of the songs we got to do, so
That's
it's fun.
awesome. So my story with Melissa Etheridge, and I told you, I think in DM, but I used to work retail management, and one of the things that they had done was for this special conference. It was the Women in Leadership at this company, and Melissa Etheridge actually came in and did a private show. And it
That's
was
awesome.
amazing. It was so
Yeah.
good. She sounds amazing. And then I saw that you went and saw her in concert as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. And you're like, I love her too. But
Yeah.
oh, how did you get into Melissa Etheridge? Like, I mean, I know she's awesome at guitar, but I'm just always interested in people's.
Yeah, I think she was just one of those people, like, I really liked the music, and it was just one of those albums that the album that really got me was Little Secret, which
Yes.
was the one that came out after Yes I Am, but that was the one, like, I bought the CD and would, like, play all the time on my way home from high school when I was driving home and had my little Jeep. That would be in the CD player, would be Melissa Etheridge, like every time. I don't know what it was about that album. There was just something about it. And she was also gay. So I think, having someone to admire and look up to as someone that was successful, not knowing that I would get into guitar. I had kind of just started playing guitar, and like that's who I wanted to play guitar like and sing like was Melissa Etheridge. So that was like where the journey began. But there was just something about that album that just, I don't know, being in high school spoke to me.
I love that. For the youngins
Yeah.
that might be watching this on playback, CDs before musical streaming things happened. I feel like trying to explain like what an 8-track tape or a cassette or something, is still like, but like there were these physical objects that you
I know,
put
like,
into a player that a laser would kind of read off the music. Yeah, it was
yeah,
a thing. But I feel like kids today are like, what? If it's not on
yeah.
Spotify or something,
It
I
was
don't know what you're
crafted, it
talking
was
about.
skipped, and yeah, so
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So have you had any fun musical collabs that have come from, your involvement in being in the whole musical genre? You have any favorite collabs that you've done on your channel?
I haven't really done any,
I know. I
to be
haven't seen a
honest.
lot because I see you by
Yeah.
yourself, like on the stool and doing the songs and stuff, and I see you doing all these famous songs. But I was like, have I missed it? Have I not seen some of these collabs, or you just haven't done some?
I haven't done any, and I think that's something that like I'd like to get into is interviewing some of these musicians, particularly female guitar players, and being like, tell us like about when things got started, particularly when things were hard. Like I always want my students to know, like, when you look up to someone, like, we all started out by sucking. Like, no better way to put it. We all were really crappy when we started playing guitar. And I always tell my students, when we're playing songs, I say, remember, you have to play to the level you're at. That's why it's like the 7-level system. But I'm like, you look at me and I'm on chapter 30 of the book, and you guys are just starting. You might be on chapter 1, maybe you're on chapter 5. I was like, but you just have to remember that I'm like 25 chapters ahead of you. So play to where you're at, but just remember, I started in chapter 1 too at some point and was not good at the guitar. So you can get here too. You just got to put the time and effort in.
There's a funny TikTok sound that comes out where it says like, sucking at something is the first step at being kind of good at something. And I
Yeah,
totally believe that, when it comes to videos or music or dancing or anything that you can
absolutely.
think of, right? Sometimes you got to do it ugly and then you can do it a little bit better. But it's the people
Yeah.
who just stand on the sidelines and then talk to you about how you could have done the things. And I'm like, you pick it up, you do it, you try
Yeah.
it,
Just
and
go
like,
and do it.
yeah, you
That's
got a
it.
lot of like a lot of words for someone sitting on the sidelines, doing perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also want to give you just a second. There's one Discord from Creator. She's saying, this is an amazing story. It's great seeing a woman nailing it in content creation and music being herself. So that's from Keely. And
Yes.
come get this commentary. Says, yes, come to my window.
It's one of my
For
favorites. I
Melissa
love
Etheridge.
performing that one.
It's such a good one. It's such a good one. Is there, I could also see you doing one-on-one collabs with your students, after they're kind of done doing something
Yeah.
and maybe, like doing a little something, because I think it's like one of those fun moments where you've got your teacher and you've got like, this is what I've learned because of you. And then you can be like, you suck or not, you know what I mean? But I think it would be like hilarious to just kind of be like, oh, look at what I've done. I have birthed this student who
Yeah.
can like play. I think it's like heartwarming.
Yeah, it
That'd be super
is.
fun.
It
I
is.
think maybe give it a shot. But I also love the female musician and the stories. There's a great series that I've seen where it's the story behind the photo on Instagram. And
Yeah.
you have
Oh,
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff, where it's like, oh, I just broken up with my boyfriend. I was feeling bloated, but I wanted to take an FU like photo. This is what you're missing. So I am fascinated by those stories more so than the photo itself. That's just me
Yeah.
though. I don't know. Maybe that's just
Yeah,
me.
it was, I mean, going back to, like, the female in music, or, the female in music killing it on YouTube. It's funny because I remember I did a video tutorial on Jolene by Dolly Parton,
I love that
and
one.
I was just curious. I was like, I wonder who else, like, is going to show up in this YouTube search for Jolene. So I did a search, and it was like, so of course I showed up in, like, the top 10 video, but then it was like Justin guitar, Marty guitar, Andy guitar. It was like all these dudes. There wasn't even another female in like the top 10. And I
Ugh.
went over to like my Facebook page, and I'm like, ladies, like, where are we at? I'm like, it's like a sausage fest over here. We have a bunch of dudes teaching women how to play Jolene, like a quintessential song written by a woman to a woman. And we have all these dudes teaching this song. I was like, we need to represent on the female music here. Like, we don't want all these dudes teaching our stuff. So I've been expanding more into like women's music, and that's why you're seeing me do like the Melissa Etheridge stuff. I just did an Alanis Morissette song. My demographic is very male heavy, especially older men. So like I'll throw one of those in every once in a while. I don't do them all the time, but throw them in for my females out there to let them know that I see them, and
I
that
see you. I'm here with you.
they're represented.
You know what? That is me though. And be like, yay.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
it's
feel
great. 'Cause,
you.
like, I'll do a Jewel song, and it's like, it's like my number 10 out of 10 video, because none of the guys want to learn Jewel, but all the women are like, oh my God,
Oh
I'm
my God, I used to love
so
this
excited.
song. Oh no, totally. The
So,
the
and it was
finger
funny because
picking.
my live event, I think at least 50% were women.
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
interesting because my audience is predominantly male, and I don't know if it's the tutorial base, I don't know, whatever else it is, but I'm always like, but it's for the ladies, woman power. But so I love that you're kind of the same. You're like, I'm making these
Yeah.
female songs for you. I will say, have you done Jewel, the finger picking one for You Were Meant for Me? Because I love that one.
Yep. I think I did that one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go look because I can
That
do it
one.
for like
I did
just
Lisa
the
Loeb, Stay.
I love that one too. So I don't know if I think I just mentioned it briefly, but every Sunday I live stream over on Twitch. But I call it Sad Song Sunday, and it's just me and the acoustic guitar. But I take sad songs and I make them even more depressing, or I take happy songs and I depressify them. That's just my jam. And I love how you said like music kind of like calms you down, and like that's my weekend thing. It just gets me ready for the week. So every Sunday night it's Sad Song Sundays, and it's just depressing all day long.
Yeah.
It's my jam. I like it. Adam's Exploit says, I've been getting Frank Tedesco in my YouTube video suggestions lately. I don't know who that is, but okay.
I know Tedesco and Trucks is a band.
I don't know what that is. I do love though that you said about women empowerment, because I'll say I'm also on a dance team, and we do, it's like line dancing but like with a flair, and we dance to a lot of female songs because of like women empowerment and everything for the organization. So
Yeah.
I'm there with you. I'm trying to put it out there. And Discord for creators. It's funny because I say this all the time, and especially on a lot of the YouTube help videos that I see and the companies that represent YouTube help type things, but she's saying YouTube is definitely a sausage fest, and you're doubling the sausage factor doing guitar. Respect. So
It is. I mean, when you look at all the big guitar creators out there, they're all guys and they have like millions of subscribers. And it's like, hey, like let's get the woman's perspective on this instrument.
You know who I'd love to see?
Not everyone wants to be ripping guitar solos. Some people just want to be like kumbaya guitar players and just sit there and strum and sing their guitars. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I focus on. That's why, like, very rarely will you see me with an electric guitar on my channel. It's like always acoustic, because like that's me, that's my brand. I can play electric guitar and I play it in some of my courses, but I'm not an electric guitar player. So that's what I do. And if it's a song that is like I did Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine, and I did it on acoustic. I was like, hey, I know it's an electric guitar song, but I'm going to show you how to do it on acoustic, and we're going to have fun with it and rock out.
I love
And
that.
that's my persona and personality.
That's awesome. One person I would love to see do an electric guitar chorus for like how to rock as a female is I think her name's Orianthi.
Yes,
Pretty close.
Orianthi, the guy, I actually have one here. So the guy who makes my guitar straps, he actually makes her guitar straps.
Oh, that's rad. And for
I
anyone
can
who
go
doesn't
into his
know,
shop and buy the Orianthi guitar strap.
that's awesome. She's a guitar player. She was going to be on tour with Michael Jackson on the This Is It tour, and I remember watching her and just being like, oh my gosh, she rocks so hard.
Yeah.
I could never even walk with like the beret and sunglasses and everything with like guitar. Like, no, that would never be me, but I just respect to her all over the place. So is there anything that you would wish that you would have done differently when you first got into YouTube? Second time?
The first, second time? Yeah. For me, I didn't really start learning about how YouTube worked until that video took off, because I was just like, why? Once that happened, I really wanted to know like why that happened, what made that do that. So I wish, I had dived into learning more about like, titles and thumbnails and how important those are in getting views and getting clicks on videos. So I think I'm someone who's big on accountability and coaching. And I think I should have jumped more into getting accountability and coaching on YouTube sooner. But I think I was just doing it as like a part-time, let's see what happens thing. But I probably, especially on that video, I mean, that video probably has over 2 million views now, or it's pretty close to it. And that's 2 million views and there's no call to action in that video. And even being someone who's like a seasoned business person, it's like, why didn't I have a call to, I mean, I don't think I had a course at the time I made that video. I definitely did not have a course, so I didn't have anything to sell them at the time. But it's like, why didn't I like do a call to action to like sign up for an email thing or something? So I think for me, that would be the biggest thing. Just diving into learning about the platform. Like if you're going to do something, learn how to do it and do
I
it
think
right.
I think that's really good advice. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you did especially or recommend as you were kind of learning that really helped you kind of get your mind wrapped around some of that to make it easier for you?
Well, I think it was just like understanding, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like I started watching videos by a lot of content creators who were, doing well on YouTube. And these are the do's and don'ts in YouTube. There's no like hacks, there's no like algorithm hacks. It's just like make really good content and make thumbnails that stick out. Most people put way too much text on their thumbnails. They don't stick out, and have really good titles that are like results oriented or results driven so that people want to click on it. And I think the best advice, because in the beginning, again, I said, you're not probably not a graphic designer, so you're doing your thumbnails on something like Canva. I think I was doing them in like Microsoft Paint when I first started.
Oh,
That's like how bad
yes.
they were. So that's how bad they were. And yeah, it's just going through YouTube and scrolling down your home feed or putting something in a search box and scrolling down and being like, what thumbnails catch my attention and why? And can I do something more like that?
That's
Or
really
is
good
your
advice.
thumbnail going to be the one that they just scroll by again?
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people always think of thumbnails as like this last, oh, like, oh, maybe I can get a screen grab, or oops, I forgot, or and
Yeah, don't do
really
the
I know
screen
some
grab.
of the creators have talked about, if they can't imagine a thumbnail, they don't want to shoot the video. And
Yeah,
it's that important because, just like if you're selling real estate, if you have an ugly outside of the house and no one wants to see inside how the floors and everything are polished and redone, because you can't get anyone into the house because that curb appeal just totally stunk.
right.
And
Yep.
it's so true. And people, I think there's a couple things really interesting that you said. Like, number one, you're like, oh, I look back, I thought I was working so hard, and it was 19 videos in my first year. And what's
Yeah.
interesting is, like a lot of the time when you tell people like, oh, one video a week should be your minimum, at that would be like 52 videos in a year. And so we'd be like, oh, we're at like 1/3 of the output we expect, but we expect these full-time results of like, well, how come I didn't have 10,000 subscribers, right? And it's always like,
Right.
well, sometimes there's random happenstance that happens, like this video that came alive, which also happens. Sometimes a video doesn't hit right away. Sometimes it's 2 years later. Sometimes, in my case, there was one that was like 4 or 5 months later, and you just don't know. And one beautiful thing about YouTube is the evergreen, like kind of content machine that it is. So it may hit in 2 years from now. And so it could be one of those, like you're only a video away from maybe, selling a whole bunch of courses, or doing really well for yourself. But a lot of people, they just don't put out the output that, for whatever reason or whatever excuse that they have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, I've talked to a lot of creators who've been very successful, and for a lot of them, it's really funny because they're like, yeah, that first video tends to take off within like that 2 to 3 year period. And I think it's probably because people get enough content into the field that YouTube actually starts paying attention and knowing. Like when you think of like 2.5 years in, I was like, okay, so I probably had 60 videos posted, maybe 50 video, So I think for a lot of people, it's just understanding that one, if you're putting out good content, your channel should be growing pretty consistently month to month. And if it's not, then it's telling you that there's something wrong with either the content's not good, or your thumbnails aren't getting clicks, and maybe your titles aren't the greatest. Like those are the three things. Like, yes, you have to have amazing content, but no one's going to watch the video if the thumbnail and title aren't intriguing. So I think, like I said, for a lot of people, when I talk to a lot of successful creators, we all seem to have like the same story of like those first 2 years were like a real grind. And we all thought we were doing more work than we were. But when we
Yeah.
looked back, we realized we weren't. So it took 2 or 3 years for YouTube to like catch up to us. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you've put in
I see
50 or
what you're
60
doing
videos
now.
now.
All right.
Okay, we'll give you a little, we'll give you a little taste. A little
Right.
taste.
Yeah. It's a little taste. That's kind of funny. And it's so funny. A lot of people always are like, well, what about this person? And I'm like, okay, they're the exception, not the rule. And
Yeah.
from what I hear, a lot of the time it is. It's a slow grind. It's a lot of work. It's, 100 videos. And then finally being like, I think I finally am getting a grip on this. I think I finally like get it now. I'm understanding. You know, I know like Roberto Blake is really into get out those first 100 videos. You know, they're probably going to be
Yeah.
the worst. They're probably going to be the ugliest. They're probably going to be not great. But you need those repetitions to be able to, you need that quantity to be able to deliver, hopefully, better quality in the end. Yeah,
Yep.
I think it's so important because a lot of people, they get mad about the results they don't have from the work they didn't do, from the little work that they did that they think should yield huge results.
Exactly.
And it's
Yes.
just not usually the case. And I remember I read a tweet of Roberto's, and he was saying how I think 90% of the YouTube channels out there don't ever get to 10,000 subscribers. And there are
Yeah.
millions of channels out there, like 100 million total, 3 million in the partner program, which is just like a very small percentage. And,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't happen for everybody, but people who want to be YouTubers see a very small, finite number of channels and think that that's the success
Yeah.
or that's the trajectory that all channels are going to have. And it
Yeah.
usually isn't.
And you don't need like I've got like over 200,000 subscribers now, but you don't need a lot. Like I think when I was at like 25,000 subscribers, I was pretty close to having like a full-time income at 25,000 subscribers. So it just goes to show you don't need millions
Yeah.
of subscribers to be successful. And people will be like, oh, 25,000 is not a lot of subscribers, but it's like that's a successful channel if you can just work and do YouTube. Like that's
Yeah.
successful.
I
So
think
I think sometimes people need to adjust what they think success is. Like we all think it's like
yes.
1 million subscribers. And yes, I'm working my way towards 1 million subscribers. But even when I had 25,000 or 50,000, I felt like a successful YouTuber because I'm like, here I am, I'm doing what I love and I'm getting paid to do what I love. And that's success.
Yeah, being able to, and we had a stream a couple weeks ago where we talked about being able to define success for your own self. And it's probably not the same as the person sitting next to you because you have different wants, needs, desires, you know, everything going on in your life. And so, and it's usually not just going to be off of one thing like subscriber number. Maybe, you know, it's based on how much money you need to, you know, feel comfortable leaving your job for, or, you know, else. And I love that absolutely you don't have to have hundreds of thousands or millions to be able to make a full-time living, and you strategically came at it from the beginning thinking business, thinking what can I sell, how can I monetize, and I think it's really, really smart. And I would love to, okay, if you were to break down kind of your revenue pie right now, what are you looking at in
Yeah.
terms of all the different places that you're getting revenue?
Yeah. So, like I said, the majority of my revenue comes from courses, and then second is YouTube ads. And then I do have like affiliate sales that I get from like Amazon. I have a few companies that I've partnered with that I do affiliate sales. Um, those are kind of like the main breakdowns of where I get money. And now there's event revenue that we're doing because we're selling event tickets. So that's kind of like the main breakdown.
I love that. There is a question from the audience if you are willing. Adam's Exploits
Good
says,
one.
I know I came in a little late, but does Lauren, do you have a team now or do you still do everything by yourself?
Yeah, so no, I have a team that helps. When you get to a certain level, it's good to have people help you. It's actually one of my business coaches I worked with during the pandemic, and this was like halfway through 2020, and he was like, "Why are you still editing your own videos?" I was still editing my own videos.
Okay.
And he was like, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "You should just be focusing on the content." And I really actually did enjoy editing the videos, but he goes, "I'm gonna hook you up with a VA, and we're gonna get you a virtual assistant who's gonna like edit all this stuff for you." And he was like, "You have to hire them for 20 hours." And I'm like, "I don't have 20 hours of work for like this VA for, and this VA has been working with me ever since. And like, we've never run out of work for him. So it's like brought someone on to work 20 hours. Like now he's doing content for like Instagram, TikTok. Like I don't even post to like, if you see a video getting posted, unless it looks really like homegrown, it's not me posting
Oh,
it. It's
interesting.
him.
That might
He's
explain.
doing
I
it.
think I probably commented. I'm like, hey, and
Yep,
they're
and
probably like,
I'll comment back. So like I'll respond to the comments, but like he'll post something, I'll record it, he'll edit it, he'll post it. And like if it's one of like my dog, I probably posted that one. I was like, I
okay.
did
I
that.
was like, I see like your Instagram stories all the time. So like I
Yeah.
see you creating
Instagram
content
stories,
all the
that's all
time.
me. That's all me. But the feed is like 90% of it is my VA and 10%
Okay.
of it is me. So I have I actually have two VAs that work for me. Um, One does all the video editing and another does more administrative stuff for me. So like helping answering emails. And then I have a person who helps me with sales, and she's like another full-time admin, so she's doing all the event stuff and kind of upselling people and doing a lot of customer service, customer support type stuff. So that's my team right now on the YouTube and online side of things. So it's still a small team, and I would love to grow that out more as the business grows, but for now it's working, and I love my people. They're awesome. And we had this really successful event that just happened, and it's all going great. So I just want to keep growing that and moving forward.
I don't even think that's a small team. Now, like
I
you're a boss with the whole
I mean,
team.
you know,
That's amazing.
I have a brick and mortar school, and it's like, it's funny because I think this year probably my online business and my brick and mortar business are probably going to make about the same amount of money. The online business actually might make a little bit more. We'll see as we get towards the end of the year. But it's like I have like maybe 16 employees in my brick and mortar business. So when I think of like, I got two part-time VAs and one full-time person, I still think of it as like a small team, because like when I think of my brick and mortar, like brick and mortars, you need a lot more people to scale that,
Yeah.
because you're selling one-on-one services, where online, when you're selling courses, here's another business lesson for you guys. So the online is way more scalable with less people. So interesting little tidbit.
No, absolutely. Especially when you run out of capacity on a one-on-one type of um, venture, then
Yeah,
packaging and doing either group coaching or doing some sort of prepackaged course where people just consume it at their own timeline is always going to be a better use of your time, because you can't get through more students without, adding more hours to the day, which, as far as I
right.
know, isn't a thing. So, um, no, that first of all, I don't know what you're talking about. That's a small team. That's a big team. That's a really big team.
Yeah,
And you're in that, I guess, as people like to call it, that season of your YouTube channel when you're really kind of going from doing everything yourself into scaling into being able to repeat that process with a lot more people in the mix, which
right.
usually becomes harder for a while. There's a lot of
It
growing
does.
pains when you're first bringing on people. How was that for you when you were first bringing them on and then kind of like getting them all into the right SOPs and training?
I will admit I'm not the best manager because I
You're the talent.
unfortunately
The talent.
I unfortunately manage people the way I want to be managed. So I'm very hands off in terms of how I manage people, because I'm just such a getter doner type person. My VAs are great. So we did have SOPs. I did videos of like, this is how to send out, this is how to schedule an email in Kajabi. So I use Kajabi as my course thing. So I made a bunch of videos just showing them, this is how you do this. These are like the top 10 questions you're going to get in email, and this is how I would respond to them. So they'll still respond with their name, but they were like, I spoke with Lauren, and Lauren said that you should go watch this video on YouTube, or this or that and the other thing. And then the virtual assistant who was doing the editing, I just sent him the videos I was editing and was like, I just need you to edit videos so they look like this. And it was funny because I think he's kind of learned how to play guitar through editing my video. He played bass, so he did have some musical background, but it's funny, like his editing, like he's grown with me. Like his editing is so much better than when we like even first started together. So I think like feel like once he got into a groove, so like I send him the raw footage, he edits everything, and then I watch it on like 2x speed in
Mhm,
Dropbox to make sure, because I still have to make sure that everything is musically correct. Like we don't
mhm.
want to put the wrong diagram, being like, oh no, I didn't use this A chord, use this other A. So I'll like fix things to make sure like it's correct musically. Or I'll be like, that actually looks confusing. Let's take that out. So, I do little corrections here and there. But I feel like once he got into his groove for what I wanted, he started putting his own personality into it. And he actually does a better job than I ever would do editing now, because he puts in that extra time and effort. So like before he would, maybe he would edit a couple videos a day, and now it's like he'll spend enough time that he'll edit like maybe one video a day, which is fine because like I'm slowing down my content that I'm putting out too. So he's putting more time and effort into every video he does, which is great because it comes out better for the students too.
I love that. Do you guys use Frame.io, or is it just the Dropbox and kind of like message and email stuff?
Yep. I just use Dropbox and then message and email. We use Google Drive. We have a lot of stuff in Excel sheets on Google Drive. I've done stuff in like Trello and some of the other things, and I'm kind of like an old school person. As much as I'm a YouTuber, like I use the old technology. I'm just like
No, I love
Google
it.
spreadsheets and Dropbox works great for me. So
I love it. All right. So any like imparting wisdom that you'd like to drop on our viewers before we head out of here?
yeah, I think the biggest thing, whether it's YouTube or brick and mortar or anything you're doing in life, it comes down to just doing. Always people are like, oh, everything you do, like you tend to be very successful at things, and it's because I have the really rare trait of doing, and that I will make a list, and if I say I'm going to do something, I follow through with it. And I think a lot of people, they have a big idea and then they start talking themselves down. We all have that little voice in the back of our head that says it's not possible. So I highly encourage you to change your perspective on life and how you see the end result of things, and just go for it. Just do it. People always ask me like, well, do you have a business plan? And I'm like, no, because when the pandemic hit, nobody had that in their business plan. So I'm a go with the flow person, but in order to get the flow going, you have to start. So that's my biggest thing for people. Like, it's not going to be perfect. Don't expect it to be perfect. Just get started and start doing something, and then adapt from there.
Yes, I've said that. Like even having something ugly is better than having nothing.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Okay, so for anyone who's watching, first of all, I have her channel linked in the description, and I'm going to put it back as a pinned comment. I also have a link to her course, the How to Learn the Lauren Bateman Guitar / course. So if you're interested in learning how to, improve your guitar skills, I think I might sign up too, because I'm also self-taught, so I may have to actually learn some things. And yeah, check out her channel. Amazing stuff. I've been watching some of your videos recently. I watched one with the triplets with the House of the Rising
Yeah.
Sun, because when I
Yeah.
play it, I don't do any of those triplets. I just yeah, we talked about cheater chords. That was me. So I did try it.
It's
I did
not an
attempt
easy
it.
song. People think
It's
it's an easy
no, it's
song. It's
not.
not.
I was like, okay, all right then. And all right, so we're gonna let y'all go. Lauren, hang out for 1 second as we end the stream, and then I'll say goodbye to you. But everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And yes, we will see you in another episode of Triple T at some point in the future. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Bye.